Good morning and welcome to our Summer Tech Tuesday. This week we're going to be looking at RenStar reports. But before we look at some of those reports that you can pull in Renaissance, there have been a few RenStar updates for the new school year. So let's go over some of those new updates. Well, all right, there we go. Sorry, had a few technical difficulties. So our new RenStar updates for this new school year, we have the record book has been updated. This was updated in the spring, but some of you may not have been aware of it yet. So in the new record book, you can now see pull multiple screenings at once and have that one view of multiple screeners. So you can view all of those results in one dashboard. So it's going to look, here's a kind of a small image here. I can get it to enlarge a little bit. But as you can see, you can determine which screeners you want to view, and it can show you all of your screeners for each student in one place. So you could pull your reading and your math for all the screeners that they have taken for that school year and see the progress all in one view. So that is one of their newer updates. Another update, and this one is new for everybody. All students will have a new progress screen. It's going to look a little bit different for everyone. And it's just to help them view their progress as they go and try to meet those AR goals. There's also another update for the kinder through second grade, their student goal page. This update, teachers can opt in or leave it the standard view. If you decide to opt in, it is a new goal sheet for students, or new goal view, sorry, and it's called AR Friends. And as you can see, it's more kid-friendly. It also has little badges and little characters and just makes it more fun for their students. And it helps them to achieve those goals and see their progress in a way that doesn't just use the point system, because sometimes that can be confusing for our littles. So that is also a new update. Then we also have some exciting updates in the Spanish RenStar. They now not only offer the focus skills, but also transferable skills. So those transferable skills are available to help you understand the commonalities between the languages to help emergent bilinguals make sense of the language development. So that is a new and exciting update in Renaissance as well. Okay, so, and I've also linked a little video that will show you all of the updates. If you click this Renaissance updates in the Google slide, it'll take you to a video and it'll run through all of the August 2021 updates for you. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at some of the key reports in Renaissance. These are some of the most often pulled reports that we think that you may be interested in. We'll give you a little brief description of what those reports will give you, and, as well as show you some examples of what it looks like, what information you'll gather from those. So let me pull, here we go. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with the STAR screening report. So in the STAR screening report, this is a report that we normally would pull after you screen your students or your students complete their screener. Now, one thing you need to remember about this report is that if you have a student that tests outside that screening window, so maybe they are a new student and they came in after that screening window closed, then their screening data is not going to be on this report. This report will only show those students who tested within that screening window. So make sure you remember that. We do have a lot of calls and emails usually when teachers are pulling these reports that if they have a student that their data is not showing, there are other ways to pull their data, but it just will not show in this particular report. So let's go ahead and look at an example of the STAR screening report. See if I can zoom in just a little. Okay, so I went ahead and pulled a sample report for this video. This is the STAR screen. This is going to give you an overall view of your class. It's going to show you who, depending on what screener you're looking at, who would be set to meet the at or above the benchmark. It'll show you who is below benchmark and then who is on target. So as you scroll down, you'll see the color-coded graph here or chart. And then as you continue to scroll down, you're going to find your data here. It'll also show you if you have any students who had not tested in this screening, the number will be listed here. And then as you continue to scroll down, it's going to give you a list of students at each individual level. So those that tested and scored in the master's grade level, meets grade level, and approaches grade level, as well as did not meet grade level. And then if you have students who did not complete the test, they would be listed here. So you could go and have those, make sure that those students are tested. So again, this is your STAR screening report. So this would be a good report to pull as once all of your students have tested in a screening window. Okay, the next report we're going to look at is called the STAR record book. This is the one that was updated recently for the new school year, to where it's going to show you the scores for the STAR assessments that your students have taken. It's going to default to the View Most Recent STAR Assessment in the Latest Test tab. Or if you want to compare different screeners, you would want to click on this Screening Comparison tab, and then that way you could select which screeners you would like to compare. So we'll take a quick look at that report. We're going to show you, or I'm going to show you the default view, which is the latest test. So if you keep this report in the default view, it's going to show you your class list, and then it's going to show you their latest test. So it'll show you the date that their last test was given or taken, the test type that you're looking at, and then how they scored on that assessment. You'll also see that we're looking at the state benchmark view. So that means that we're going to have data that's going to show us if they are at or above, meets, masters, or did not meet. And then it's going to also show you the percentile rank and scaled score as well. So if we then want to look at the screening comparison view, this is the same class, but as you can see, you still have your class list on the far left. And I've chosen to look at the reading and math together in one view. This would be a good report to take with you to a care meeting, to look at possible intervention needs, and to see how they're progressing throughout the school year. So you can select which screeners you would like to look at for both reading and math, or you could compare, two different reading screeners, however you want to do that. But it'll show you if they've made progress throughout the year, or if more help or more intervention is needed. So again, that is the STAR record book. And this next one is a good report to pull. This is our go-to report when we get phone calls or help tickets saying that their teachers are looking for student data and it's not showing up in their class reports. So this STAR test activity report is a great report. It's going to show you students who have and have not tested during a specific date range. So this is a great place to look if you have students that are missing data in this STAR screening report. So let's take a look at that STAR test activity report. Go ahead and zoom in just a little bit. Okay, so this one is going to give you your class roster again on the far left. It's going to show you how many, dates you select, how many tests that they have completed during that window. If they have failed any of their practice tests, remember the students are given a short little practice test before they begin. So if they have failed that test, then it's not going to let your students go on to the actual STAR assessment. So that would be one reason why their data may not be showing. So that's the first place you want to look, is just make sure they don't have any failed practice tests. And then if that is 0, check to see if they have any incomplete tests. So maybe they just have started the test, but they haven't finished it. It's also going to give you their latest test date, and then the estimated IRL, instructional reading level, and then how their duration of their test time was. So if it was long or standard, or how they tested. If you do have students that did not complete any tests, they will be listed here at the bottom, and then it gives you a quick summary again of how many total students you have in your class roster, how many were tested, and then how many were not tested. So again, that was the STAR test activity report. Now, as we're moving on, the next report we're going to look at is the instructional planning report. This is a great report that I think is kind of underutilized. This would be a great report to pull when you're looking for your guided reading groups or your guided math groups. And it'll give you a quick overview of who needs to focus on which skills. So let's take a quick look at the instructional planning. Now, this is the class view. You could also pull this for individual students if you want to see where your students are and kind of what their next steps are. I like to pull this as a class. That way I can see my class as a whole and see what my focuses need to be in my groups. So once you pull your report, again, it's going to show you your total number of students and the total number of students with tests for the time frame that you selected in the report. It'll give you your overall view. Your median scale score, lowest scale score, highest, etc. Then it's going to give you recommendations. So these are recommendations according to our Texas TEKS. So it's going to go off of the median score for the class, and then you can go in and customize those depending on each individual student or your student groups. So you'll see all the different strands here. You have your vocabulary, comprehension, and it's going to show you the ones with the lightning icon here. Those are your focus skills. And then, as we mentioned earlier in the new update, you now have transferable skills. So if you have students that are bilingual, or some of your ESL students, those would be great skills to look at for them as well. Okay, one of my favorite reports was the STAR diagnostic report. So in this report, this is going to give you a view of how your student is doing. Let's look at this sample here. So it goes off of their most recent test or most recent screener. It'll show you where they are, whether they are in the master's grade level, meets, approaches, or did not meet. And then it will go in and give you a brief explanation of each of their scores. So their scaled score, percentile rank, grade equivalent, and instructional reading level. And to dig a little bit deeper, you can then go in and look at each of their domain scores. And this is going to show you an estimate of the percent of mastery on skills in each domain at the 5th grade level. So these are also good to look at and kind of narrow in on certain skills that maybe particular students may need. It's going to give you their zone of proximal development. And then it will also give you a little testing information. It'll tell you how long it took the student to take that test and whether they had any accommodation. So if they had the extended time or the oral administration, that would also be listed here. Okay, another great report to pull. This one's really good towards the end of the school year. It's the STAR Annual Progress Report. This report graphs student progress over a school year, and you can either group it by student if you want each individual student's data to be on its own graph and table. It is also a good report to pull once you have at least 4 tests taken. Then it's going to give you that trend line. So you'll be able to see kind of what the trend is for that student and how they're projected to progress throughout the school year. If you group it by class, then it's just going to give you the average score for the class, okay? So let's look at that STAR annual progress report. Okay, so I pulled this for a student. As you can see, they have 4 tests that they had taken during the time frame that I pulled this report. So it did provide a trend line for me. Obviously, you want those trend lines to be going up, so that means that they are projected to progress throughout the school year and not go down, which means they're not progressing. It also color codes it for you according to each assessment. So depending on where they are in the scale, it'll show you if they are green, and that means they are projected to be at the master's grade level. The blue is the meets grade level. Yellow is approaches, and then the red would be the did not meet. So the graph itself is a great visual for you to kind of get a visual view of how your students are doing. But then it also gives you a table with each test that was given during the window that you selected when you were selecting the report. And it gives you individual data for each one of those tests. So you can either look at the broad overview just to make sure they're progressing, or when you scroll down, it'll give you the individual data for each of those tests given. Now, this last report that we're going to look at is the STAR State Performance Student Report, and we'll also do the class report. Now, this report is only for those students who are in a STAR tested grade level. So like your first and second grade students, this would not be a report that you would want to pull for them because they don't take a STAR state assessment. So let's take a look at the state assessment report, or sorry, state performance report. We'll look at the class view first. So when you pull the class view, it's going to, again, it looks very similar to the STAR annual progress report. But again, that STAR annual progress is just how the student is progressing over the school year. The state performance report, even though it looks very similar, this one is going to show you how your class or how your students are projected to perform on that end of year state assessment. So in our case, STAR. Again, if they have, I believe on this one, it's 3 or more assessments or screeners are given, it'll produce that trend line for you. As you can see, this green line here with the star at the end, it's appropriate for us for our STAR end of year STAR test. But this green line here is the projected state assessment passing scores. Obviously, they don't have the exact passing, but they just go by past years assessments and then any state data that's given out in regard to what the passing scale score would be. So it then plots each of the assessments that are given to your class, depending on what time frame you select in the report. It's going to show you your average scale score. Again, the pathway to proficiency, meaning you're wanting to get your trend line as close or above to that green trend line as possible, because that's going to be your passing rate. And then that ultimate end of your goal is where that green star is there. As you scroll down, it's going to show you what each of those testing windows look like with your class, what their average score was, how many students were tested. In each of those assessments, how many were below the pathway to passing the STAR test and how many were on the pathway to pass, as well as percentages there. When you continue to scroll down, it's then going to give you, according to the most recent test, not the overall average, but the most recent test, it will actually list the students for you, the ones that are on their pathway to proficiency, as well as the ones who are below the pathway, so that you can make sure you pay close attention to those students and see, maybe pull one of those instructional planning reports and see what skills you really would want to focus on to get them at or above that pathway to proficiency. So again, this is the class view. You can also pull this report at the student level. And again, it gives you the same type of information. It's going to plot each of those assessments for you on the little graph here, as well as show you which assessment you're looking at. This one is for a STAR math, but it will also give you, here's your pathway to proficiency, that green line with the star at the end. And since this student has 3 or more assessments taken for the school year, it also shows a trend line. So even though in October, this student was not on their pathway to proficiency, you can see the progress that that student made and how he was trending, even after that 3rd assessment, he was trending to go above the pathway to proficiency. So that's definitely a good indicator that this student is on track, and any interventions that you may be working on with this student, they seem to be working. So it's going to give you lots of great information here. So again, that was the STAR State Performance Report. And that report is only going to be for those students who are in a grade level that has a state test at that grade level. So we went through the STAR Screening Report. We looked at the STAR Record Report, STAR Test Activity Report, the Instructional Planning Class Report, the Diagnostic Report, the Annual Progress, and then the State Performance Report. So there are several different different reports that you can pull in Renaissance depending on what data you're looking for. So you will definitely want to go back and check these reports if you're not familiar with them and see what all you can gain from those reports. As always, any training that we have done this summer, all of our Summer Tech Tuesdays, can be found on our digital learning website. Once you go to our website, you'll want to click or hover over Staff Resources, then click on the Digital Learning PD and the PD Library. Once this loads, you'll see the updated Google slide with this week's Tech Tuesday information here. This slide is going to be full of all of the links that we showed you. So you'll have all of your updates here, as well as your RenStar reports. You can click to find all the information there. Some quick FAQs for information that you may have questions about. Then as you scroll down, you'll find all of the videos shown for each Tech Tuesday that are available. So make sure you check those out as well. Okay, we have 2 more Tech Tuesdays left for this summer. We have July, we'll not have one next Tuesday, but July 20th, we'll be looking at our Tech Teaks and keyboarding information. And then July 27th, we'll be back in our beginning of year school modes. We'll look at some of those beginning of year tech tasks that you may need to take care of to get ready for the 21-22 school year. We hope you're all having a terrific summer. And if you need anything or need help with anything, please don't hesitate to give us a call or put in a help ticket, and we'll help you as quickly as we can. Have a great summer.